how do I find hope in the work that I do? It's an interesting question when I think about it because I work with end of life. I work with seniors and folks with dementia, and that's not always the place people first would go to when they think about hope. I believe that life is a journey, and my journey has been a winding path. I wanted to work with kids, which I still get to do at St. Matt's now with the choir. But my professional work has always been with seniors. I find such joy and such hope in the stories that they tell. I've been able to work with them in nursing homes and assisted livings, especially those folks with dementia, who many of you have family members, friends, loved ones who have been stricken with dementia or Alzheimer's disease, and it feels like all hope is gone. I don't think so. I think they're still in there. One of my first jobs was as a music therapist. That's using music for therapeutic means to help people with different things. And I was lucky enough to work in a unit with folks with dementia, and we used to sing songs, the old time songs. And I worked with a lady who became very, very special to me, but she was very, very unresponsive. She didn't even respond to her name. If you touched her, tapped her on the shoulder, she didn't recognize her name. Yet every single week, her husband would come up, sit next to her, and we would sing music together. And I'll never forget one of the times that, again, she wasn't responding to anyone, not me, not her husband, not her name. And as we started to sing, she started to hum. Then she started to sing the words to the songs that we were singing. Then she turned to her husband and smiled at him. I can only imagine the hope he saw. It wasn't hope for her to get better. He knew she wasn't going to get better. Hope that she was still in there and that they could make a connection. And I remember that story, that time particularly, because when we were finished singing and it was time for the husband to leave, he told her, "It's time for me to go." And she turned to him and said, "Not without a kiss, you don't." And it melted my heart because that's hope. I continued my work career and have been working in end of life and hospice for many, many years. The question I'm asked most often is, how can you do that every day? There's a lot of hope in the work that I do. It can be hope for mended relationships, hope for completion of the tasks that whatever they are for each and every person. It's such an individualized journey. It's hope for families to connect and to learn more about one another. It's hope for people who know where they're going, who know what the end of their body, whether it's with dementia, whether it's with cancer, where they are going. I'll tell you a story that's a very personal story to me about my grandma, who was also stricken with dementia. Didn't know people for the last many, many years of her life. She ended up dying, and she was in a coma for a couple days, and she wasn't quite there yet. And the hospice team said, "You know, it's pretty soon." I called my dad. It was my dad's mom. And I said, "Dad, you need to come and say goodbye to Grandma." And he said, "No, she hasn't known me for years. Why would I come?" And he knows this story, so it's okay that I share it from his perspective. Finally, I said, "You need to come. I think Grandma's waiting for you." Hope. I want Grandma to be able to pass peacefully. And there were still some things that weren't done. Dad and Mom drove 8 hours down, walked into the room. Grandma had been in a complete unresponsive coma for days. And he said, "Hey, Else," that's what he called her. And she started to talk. Not words, but she started to react and respond to him. And it gave me such peace and hope that she knew he was there. He sat with her and visited. We all visited sort of around with my grandma. I knew she was there. Through all my years, I know that they're still there. Dad decided he and my aunt were going to go out for lunch. They got up, they left the room, and it was just minutes, literal minutes, and my grandma's breathing changed. I was with my cousin and I said, "It's time." And that was a time that I will always honor and cherish because my grandma passed away. And as my grandma, who was incredibly faith-filled and had passed that on to my dad and to us, as she took her last breath, I saw her soul leave her body. It's never happened any other time I've been with someone who's passed, but I saw her leave and go up into the corner, and out she went, and I know where she was going. I had hope, and I knew at that moment. So anybody who asks me, why do I do what I do? It's got to be really hard. There's lots of hope in the work of end of life and hospice.